One victim says he fears for his life now that all 4 suspects have been released from custody. This is the intersection where both victims flagged down an officer after he says the 4 suspects pointed loaded guns at their heads and stole a car. Down this road in Des Moines is where one man thought his life would end. For his safety, he's not revealing his identity, but he is reliving that terrifying night of October 29th. He parked here after getting home from work, a neighbor parking right behind him. Moments later, he says 4 suspects pointed a gun at his neighbor, stole their cell phone and wallet, and then the suspects saw him sitting in his car.
2 men were pointing guns at me and the other victim. The other 2 were searching the car. And I want to say about 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, probably about a minute afterwards, they all had just jumped in my car and sped off.
Both victims ran for help and flagged down a Des Moines police officer who was at this intersection. The officer put out a call about the armed robbery, and within 20 minutes, Federal Way police spotted the stolen car at this intersection. Officers chased the car a block down the street where the suspects got out and ran away. All 4 suspects, an 18-year-old, 2 17-year-olds, and a 16-year-old were caught and taken into custody. But within less than 72 hours, all 4 suspects were released after their first appearance court hearing. 2 of the teens placed on electronic home monitoring. The victim says them being back on the streets is triggering his frustration and fear.
I'm angry, I'm disappointed. And truthfully, says a lot about, criminal justice system not taking situations like this seriously.
This is a copy of a form filled out by an officer the night of the armed robbery. It was filed to the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Prosecutors say they used this document in court when arguing to detain the suspects. But notice this section with the question, law enforcement object to release. The box is checked no. The prosecutor's office says the no box was checked for all suspects involved.
It noted that they did not object to release for the 4 folks. The difficulty is even when prosecutors agree with police, which we did here, and argue that they should be held. Sometimes judges look at that and they consider that along with the defense who brings it up, which can sometimes lead to people's release, even over prosecutors' objection.
I cannot believe that they would say the reason why these serious violent felons that were a massive danger to our community were released because a checkbox was not checked.
Police Chief Ken Thomas says the checkbox is automatically defaulted to no. He says this is how the prosecutor's office set up the form and is the officer's responsibility to adjust the answer. But Thomas says he's vocalized his issue about this detail to the prosecutor's office for the past year, and now it's caused a concern to the safety of the community.
The victim had a gun in his face and his property stolen and his car jacked, so a checkbox shouldn't matter. If we're doing our job and looking out for the community, we should be paying attention to that. And a checkbox shouldn't overrule whether that person is in custody or not.
These guys are back out in the streets again, and I feel like it's not safe for our community. It's definitely not safe for me. And it's also a slap to the face to the police officers who, did all that work to catch these criminals just for them to be let out on the street again.
A judge in the 18-year-old's case was not available for comment today, but a spokesperson did provide conditions for that person's release, including no contact with the victims and no possession of a gun. The judge in the cases for the 3 teenagers also points out the law enforcement's documentation does not object to detention. Those 3 teenagers were charged today, according to the prosecutor's office. Reporting in Des Moines, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.